Welcome to Oklahoma Sportscene. We're at the Bricktown Brewery Restaurant in South Peoria here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And yes, Gil Cloud is not with us today. He's on the injured reserve list. Just had a right knee replaced at St. Francis Hospital. Gil, I know you're doing well. We've got a great reliever in for him there. Great baseball man, great baseball historian. Wayne McCombs, who also happens to be the executive director of the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum in Claremore, Oklahoma. But most, how about you for your expertise with baseball? We got some great gifts for you to talk about with baseball today.
Tell you what, we got two of the all-time greats. We have Gene Shell, the legendary University of Tulsa baseball coach, and Roger Whitaker, one of the great stars of that '69 college All-Star College World Series team.
And fellas done great work on the north side of Tulsa here and around the country. The ministry that includes baseball as well, right?
Yeah, Jerry Jacobsen is with World Baseball Outreach, and they also work with the RBI from the major leagues, which is reviving baseball in our inner cities. He uses the ministry along with donations from people with equipment and funding to kind of help the boys and girls learn how to play baseball correctly with the right equipment. Maybe some of them don't have a father image in their life, and they help supply that not only on the baseball field but also in the home or the church with spiritual needs.
A lot of baseball on this show. We also couldn't resist women's soccer. The big topic, of course, our congratulations to our women's national team, the FIFA World Cup champions for the fourth time in a row. Fourth time the Cup, their second in a row. Of course, they clinched it in France on Sunday with a 2-0 victory over the Netherlands. We'll talk to them about the FIFA World Cup soccer with a special guest, Yolanda Thomas, who's a champion coach in her own right. She's the coach of Tulsa's Fortuna women's soccer team. They just finished an undefeated season, won a conference championship, head to the regionals in Minneapolis. Yolanda Thomas will join us, a special guest on Oklahoma Sports Scene. So the women win the World Cup, and for the men, the Roughnecks are struggling a bit right now. They ended up with a 1-1 tie in Portland this past weekend. Now they have two matches coming up in July at One Oak Field. It'll be the Los Angeles Galaxy coming on July 24th. July 27th, it'll be Phoenix coming to town. So two matches coming up for you Roughneck fans at the end of the month here. NBA blockbusters, my gosh, Wayne, it just never ends. And what explosions there were around the league, and what shock for Thunder fans losing Paul George and trying to hang on out of Russell Westbrook.
Well, this sort of goes, remember the trade the Dallas Cowboys did with the Minnesota Vikings for Herschel Walker, and they, after 2 years or so, they picked correctly and they got a world championship. Will the Thunder be able to do that? They've got, now this isn't they don't have five right now. It's for the next 4 years or so. And then today they traded Grant to Denver for another first-round pick. So they now have 5 first-round picks. So are they going to wisely put those pieces together to make a great team? I don't know. And then you just mentioned Russell Westbrook. What's going to happen to him? Are they going to finish third in the division with Russell Westbrook? Are they going to finish third in the division without Russell Westbrook?
Well, we lost Paul George, of course, one of the finalists for the MVP award, and did a great job for the Thunder. He actually went to Sam Presti and said, I want to go to Los Angeles, play with the Clippers and play out there with Kawhi Leonard, and made that deal. And really, there was no choice for Sam Presti. Had to make the deal.
Right.
Gets 5 draft picks, along with a couple of players and stuff. And right now, though, Russell Westbrook is the big question mark. The Thunder still have 4 years left on Russell's contract at $170 million, a big contract.
Who's got the money to do that? Now both of the Los Angeles clubs have spent their money. So now you're down to what?
Talking about Miami, Houston,
maybe
New York Knicks.
New York,
possibly there.
Do the Knicks need somebody like that to go against Brooklyn that's going to have their power players next year?
Now they got Kevin Durant in there and stuff, a year away from now and the injury and stuff. But it was just amazing.
Brooklyn? Kevin Durant goes to Brooklyn?
Leaves Golden State with a new arena and everything.
He had a choice.
I know it. Unbelievable. And to me, the free agency in NBA was incredible, Wayne. Over $3 billion was spent in free agency in NBA.
Well, the NBA is at their highest peak of national and international notice and money. It seems like you're just an okay club. You're still racking the money in. But let's go back a little bit. Can you imagine a player going up to Coach Sutton, Eddie Sutton, or Nolan Richardson and saying, I don't like the way you're doing it? No. Can you imagine? He wouldn't have his eyebrows after he said that to those guys, you know?
Different times, I know.
I know it's different. Anyway.
So stay tuned. A lot more coming up on NBA and Russell Westbrook. Who knows what will happen with him. Drillers update. He always like to talk baseball, and Boy, what a great season. Over 20,000 over attendance figures from last year.
Well, going through the record book today, I looked, and already Tulsa is in the top 25 of attendance in their history. Okay,
wow,
and that's about 113 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's doing great. It's great to go out to the ballpark. The more fans there just kind of makes that place more electric. And you know, Tulsa is a great baseball town.
Absolutely.
I mean, they cheer a sacrifice bunt just like they do a home run.
Yeah.
Tulsa is a great baseball town, and that matches with the great baseball management we have at the Drillers.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could have a baseball team and do okay.
Yeah.
But those guys are in the community. They know what people like. They give it to them, and they are wonderful people. And this is what kind of puts the cherry on the top of the sundae for me with those guys. I've seen both Hubbard brothers. I've seen Mike Malaga and other officials of the Drillers standing out at the gate at the end of the game saying, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, and you get that, and you know they do appreciate it, so it goes both ways.
Drillers have two big homestands coming up, July 16th to 18th against Frisco, 19th to 22nd against Midland. Fireworks on both the 19th and the 20th. Also today, they've lost two of their power hitters, so hey, that's what the Double A is all about, moving up, and they moved two of their players up. Gavin Lux and DJ Peters voted up the road to Oklahoma City to the Dodgers AAA team.
But the kind of the silver lining in the black cloud is their second baseman, McKintrey. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He is going to get more time to play at second and short now that Lux is gone. Lux is voted in the Futures game as the best hitter of the Futures game on the American side. And so we're going to get to see McKintrey go, and I think Cody Thomas is doing a great year, former OU quarterback, okay? He's going to be counted on more to supply more power. So let's see how he plays under a little bit more pressure. He had a couple other sluggers around him where he didn't have to get the big hit every time. But now Cody is going, we'll see what happens to him, and I think he can do it.
I want to congratulate also Oklahoma State University golfer who just joined the PGA Tour, Matthew Wolf. This past weekend, Wayne, he won the 3M PGA Tournament event in Minneapolis. This kid is an amateur, was the top individual player in NCAA golf, won the medalist championship there. He just cashed his first PGA check, first place check, $1,152,000. 2-year exemption, go to the Masters, the Players, the PGA. What a weekend for him.
Well, that was fourth tournament?
Yeah.
Something like, I mean, his fourth tournament.
And then it was a 26-foot eagle putt on the 18th to win it. Incredible.
It was great day.
Great show coming up. We're going to talk to Yolanda Thomas and women's soccer, both USA and right here in Tulsa. Stay with us on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
Cheers. All right, y'all, how's everything tasting?
That is awesome.
I come bearing gifts of the liquid variety.
Bricktown Brewery. Come and get it.
At Rogers State University, we keep things personal.
It all starts here.
We make sure our graduates get the most out of their education.
RSU has campuses in Claremore, Bartlesville, and Pryor, with on-campus housing and a wide variety of programs to suit your needs.
It all starts here.
Rogers State University.
And welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene here at the Bricktown Brewery Restaurant on South Peoria in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Wayne McCombs joining us today, and we have a really special guest here. This young lady is, women's soccer is everything right now, internationally, nationally, and locally. This is Yolanda Thomas. She is the coach of the undefeated Fortuna Tulsa women's soccer team. Congratulations on an incredible season and the championship this past weekend, Yolanda.
Thank you.
Give us a little bit of your background. I think people will be surprised at your background An Oklahoma State cowgirl.
Yes, absolutely. Go Pokes. Right. I'm an Oklahoma State cowgirl. I've been in the state of Oklahoma since 2005 when I came to Stillwater. But prior to that, I was actually born and raised in Sweden. Right. And I actually represented Sweden internationally, so I was a little torn this World Cup. But I was happy to see the U.S. get the win. So, and then after graduating, I spent some time in Oklahoma City and now in Tulsa. I've coached probably every level in this state, from club to high school, college as well, and then now, of course, in the WPSL.
Now, your background does involve a lot of coaching.
Yes, sir.
Okay, was this your best group of girls with you? I mean, did you get to handpick this group?
Yes and no, in the sense that we prioritized players with a tie to Tulsa already, so we were a little bit limited by their home. But
so you had sort of a Tulsa all-star team is basically what it was, right?
Yeah, this area has produced a lot of talent, so that wasn't too hard.
Yeah.
I know the young ladies on the roster, TU, OSU, one of the schools represented, a lot of area high schools too, right?
Yep, we have Union, Jenks, I think, a few more here. OU is also represented on the roster. We have some that are at school in Arkansas, but they're from here. So, we're pretty well represented.
Well, talk about the championship match on Saturday. You guys took on Albion Hurricanes FC Royals out of Houston and got off to a slow start, but then came on strong. Talk about the match.
Well, I think they scored on us about a minute and a half into the game. Obviously, not what we planned for. But I think the big takeaway, and has been all year long with this team, is how we respond. We are undefeated, but it has not been without challenge. It has not been without adversity. And so I was so thankful. I really didn't even have a chance to get up and say anything. The girls just responded, and what was it, 4 minutes later, we were up 2-1. So. With a former TU four-year starter, right, to score both those goals? Yeah, Rachel Blankenship, and that's another player I actually coached while I was an assistant at TU, and I've coached against her when she was in high school, so it's a player I've watched grow up in the game, and I think I said after the game, someone asked me, oh, she stepped up. I said, that's just Rachel, that's what she does. She shows up when the game's on the line. And the other two goals scored by? We had Nikki Caranta scored one and Amanda Carino, and they are some longtime supporters of the game here. They went to college, I'm not going to say how long ago, but they've been out for a while. Nikki, at the time her name was Baker, but she actually represented the youth U.S. national teams way back when. What's impressive too, Wayne, I noticed is you held the team without not scoreless, but they didn't get a shot, right, the second half?
No shots on goal in the entire second half. When the other team is pressing and trying and doing everything they can to get that goal, and you didn't even let them have an opportunity. Yeah, well, our conversation at halftime was really about, okay, we're allowing them to play, even though we're up, and this team is a team we need to shut down. And so we actually went out and we high-pressed them, and we knew that our fitness level was probably a little higher, so we put the pressure on them. And, credit to the girls for executing, not a single shot on goal. Now they move to the next step. Wayne, a trip to Minneapolis, right? The 13th and 14th, they'll be playing in the Premier Soccer League Central Regional Championships in Minneapolis, July 13th and 14th. And we just found out you're busing to Minneapolis. Well, that's kind of the story of the women's game. These are the sacrifices we make to hopefully in a few years the next round of players don't have to go through that. But we found out so late that we were qualified, and obviously being in Minnesota is a kind of a tough connection. We're busing, but we're ready to go. What happens there? How many games do you have to win in that tournament? If we win the first one, we play again on Sunday. And if we win Sunday, we go to Final Four, which is actually hosted in Stillwater. Oh, go folks. Perfect. So that's the goal. We want to get back to Oklahoma. Well, what a great opportunity to have that here, but basically here in Oklahoma, where it can really showcase your talent. Yeah, absolutely. 8-0-1 with the season here. Talk about your tie with the Roughnecks. I know Wayne Farmer, a great supporter of you guys too. Yeah, so we have the same ownership group and share some of the front staff office as well. So a lot of partnership going on there and relationships going on. Wayne I work with him daily. So I think we're enjoying kind of the rebirth of the Roughnecks here in Tulsa as well, and hope to see them continue to do a little bit better. What's going on now for your league? It looked like this year, because of all the different teams in the league, different cities, vibrant cities, you have good spots where soccer is growing. And then the attendance was good.
Yeah.
You know, you're building on that. What's next for the league? Does the league look like it's healthy? Is there expansion? Or what do you think's
The
coming up?
WPSL is actually the largest women's soccer league in the world.
Wow.
It is an amateur league. There are some that are they can pay expenses, but collegiate players are eligible to play in it, so it's not a professional league. But I think there are over 150 members. Obviously, it's a big nation.
Yeah.
I think the challenges are just like what we're running into when regionals get scheduled in Minnesota on a dime and having to turn around and get there. Those are probably the challenges we need to approach as a league, but it's been around for a long time. I see it continuing to be around for a long time. And mentioning the World Cup, I don't remember the statistics, but you can find them online. I think possibly even half of the U.S. women's national team at one point or another played in this league.
Wow, that's impressive. You mentioned one of the young ladies on the U.S. national team that, of course, just won the FIFA World Cup, was a cowgirl, Oklahoma State girl,
Yeah,
right?
Adriana French was one of the goalkeepers on that roster. We're very proud. She came in right after I graduated, but I was actually a student assistant coach my 5th year, and she was a freshman and had a tremendous career at Oklahoma State and has obviously had a phenomenal professional career and has a lot of her career left. So we're very proud and happy for her. And you just never know when you're going to get to watch the next World Cup participant.
It's Yolanda Thomas. She is the women's coach of our Tulsa Fortuna League team that is undefeated and heading to the regional championships and hopefully back to Stillwater, Oklahoma to play for the Nationals here. I guess we got to talk, obviously, Wayne, the big subject last month really has been the United States women's and the FIFA World Cup in France.
Yeah.
Got to be awful proud of the ladies.
Oh yeah, they have changed the world.
Yeah.
I think I really do. And you know they led the way and they obviously won the trophy. But if you're a fan of women's soccer, you probably followed it, even how it has affected in other countries. And the number of viewers in the various countries have just been records broken all over the world, and for young women to turn on the TV and see all kinds of players from all kinds of backgrounds doing what they're doing is just phenomenal.
Well, and the media coverage here in America, it wasn't tape delay at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, it was live, at noon on weekends and during the day, and so that was very fortunate. That was a big marketing coup for the entire sport of ladies soccer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, they defeated Sweden along the way. And then when, of course, the championship game with the Netherlands, they won that 2-0. And the record 4th FIFA World Cup for the United States women's team, and their 12th consecutive World Cup victory, going back for the last 2 World Cups here. Scored a goal on a penalty kick by the oldest player on the side, the 34-year-old Jessica Megan Rapinoe, who was caused some controversy along the way too, hadn't she?
Yeah, she has, but at the end of the day, she was there to win the World Cup, and she did.
She did that. What about the big push now, and it's hard to argue, equal compensation for these ladies who have outdone everything as far as the men's team goes?
Yeah, I think no matter where you stand on it, I think it's important to recognize that these women, and particularly in the U.S. case, bring in more revenue than the men's team. And I know the contracts are different. If you read the details, you'll see that. And some of it depends on what FIFA allots to the U.S. Federation. But at the end of the day, they're not being fairly compensated for the work that they're doing or the revenue that they're producing.
True.
You mean the National Soccer Organization is not fair to the United States?
Well,
Holy cow! How did that happen?
The former FIFA president was under investigation, so that'll tell you a little bit.
How did that happen? Yeah.
Well, what a run by the United States women, the national team, of course, winning the FIFA World Cup, and what a run for our local ladies of the Fortuna Tulsa team, winning the conference championship, undefeated season, going to the regionals now in Minnesota, coming up again on July 13th and 14th, and hopefully you'll want to bring that team back to Stillwater and play for the Nationals in Oklahoma State.
That's the plan. Thank you.
Yeah, we have some for you who have taken the time to join us. Bricktown Brewing wants to give you a gift card to come back and enjoy lunch or dinner with the folks here at Bricktown.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Best of luck to you and the ladies.
Thanks.
Good luck in Minneapolis.
Appreciate it.
When we come back, we're going to have talk TU baseball and a golden anniversary for a great baseball program here in the city. Stay with us.
The service is amazing.
Food's delicious.
I love the avocado fries.
I love the energy.
Local beer, great food, truly friendly service.
Look all right for you?
Bricktown Brewery, come and get it.
We have a very special couple of segments coming up here on Oklahoma Sports Scene. A great thrill to have with us a legendary baseball coach, Gene Shell from the University of Tulsa, and a great player of his, Roger Whitaker, who celebrate 50 years ago. The University of Tulsa was in Omaha, Nebraska, finished runner-up in the College Baseball World Series. And Wayne McCombs, I know you have followed Tulsa baseball all your life. The impact the University of Tulsa baseball program has had in this area.
Well, the main thing I remember is, of course, I listened to the games on the radio and all this type of stuff, but I remember them saying, the players, he's from Hale, he's from McLean, he's from Memorial, he's from East Central. I mean, it was a City of Tulsa all-star club, right?
Absolutely.
Roger? I mean,
Yes, it was.
Now, I think, 18 of the 21
we
kids
had,
were from?
13 from Tulsa,
Yeah.
and then 18 of us from Oklahoma, of the 21-man roster. So
Right.
it was, Coach knew where the talent was,
So
and
it was
right under his nose, right here in town.
It was the City of Tulsa
It
and
was.
University of Tulsa, I mean, against the world. I mean, you're playing much larger schools. I don't want to go into the names, but you're playing much larger schools with population, money-wise, resources. And this guy, in the, really out of the trunk of his car, works this magic and brings in this championship. Now, before Gene Shell came in 66, is that right, Coach?
66.
66. Tulsa was okay, but they only had about 20 games a year, and the most games they'd ever won was 14 in one season. Shell's first year, he wins 15 out of 23 games and moves on up and keeps growing and growing, and went through the roof when it got to your year. You kept winning, and you kept winning, and you kept winning. And tell me what it was like. You were in on part of the early part where you saw Coach Shell and what he did.
Sure.
Okay. What was it like among you players? You guys knew you were kind of on the outside looking in. How did you guys work together, and what did you think of Coach Shell giving you the freedom to work together?
I mean, I think the thing that was so magic about us is we all grew up playing against each other in Little League, either with or against each other, and then on up through the Pony Leagues and up through high school. You mentioned Hale McLean, 66, 67, they both played each other in the state championships. And so we already had that bond of, like you were talking earlier about it, Tulsa and the city, and then Coach was great to come in and pick off the best players off of each of the local schools, and we already had that bond already built together, and that was what's special about it.
Gene, give us your background. Coach the University of Tulsa, 1966 to 1980, 7 Missouri Valley Conference championships, College World Series twice, runner-ups 1969. Incredible record, 478, 199, 70% win percentage of your career. What's your secret, Gene? How'd you do it?
Well, I don't have any secrets, and neither does any other coaches in the country, but actually our baseball program started at the University of Tulsa in '67. I was on Coach Stroud's football staff, and I helped with basketball, and he asked me to take baseball. And we had like 4 bats and a dozen balls, and a bunch of guys that just wanted to play baseball, and they didn't have anybody to really coach them at that time. So we started, and our intentions were not to win any championships. We just wanted to win each game at a time. We didn't start thinking about championships till we won the district playoff. But these guys didn't care who they played, where they played them. As a matter of fact, we didn't even have a park. But until '69, we made a deal with the Tulsa Oilers. But the nice thing about this ball club and these people is they had an impact on college baseball all across the country. Because of our program and its success, the Big 12 took notice, and Cliff down at Texas University, he already had a beautiful stadium. So OU builds a new stadium, ORU builds a new stadium. Norm DeBryan at Arkansas, when we played him in the beginning, he played in the cow pasture.
Gosh.
And now they're one of the best ball clubs in the country.
Yeah.
And Norm DeBryan started that program. Bobby Wink was probably the best college baseball coach in the country. We beat him. We played him in the College World Series and we lost to him. But the very next year we played him in a Riverside tournament and beat him. And he could see what was happening to our ball club, and he told me, "You're going to be on top for a long time." Well, if you've got your athletic director, the administration, the board of trustees behind you, you can make things happen. But if you don't have those, you're out of luck. And we lost that in 1980. But before we did, these kids set records not only in the Missouri Valley Conference that still stand, but also in Omaha. And they caused a lot of programs to get better, and they're getting better, but they still need help. You got to have your football coach along with them too, because baseball is a good tool for recruiting.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. If you look at the top 20 college NFL draftees, your quarterbacks, your wide receivers, your safeties, all of them can play pro baseball.
No better example than Kyler Murray for Oklahoma, right?
Right, the number one pick in baseball and the number one pick.
Never done before.
Unbelievable. I think after a couple of hits, he'll be in the outfield for Oakland.
They use the football coaches use that too. You can bet that Barry Switzer, Bob Stoops, and Riley know exactly what baseball can do for their program.
Yes.
And it gives them an opportunity to recruit those kids, which is good. But spring sports are hard to promote. But Tulsa's a baseball town.
Yes.
And there are a ton of baseball players in a 200-mile radius of Tulsa, and a lot of potential professional players.
Let me tell you something about Coach Shell. He just wasn't thrown in as the baseball coach. He had won 2 state championships in Tulsa, high school baseball. And so Coach Shell knew what he was doing. And when he retired in 1980, he was the 4th winningest coach in the history of college baseball. Wow. Okay? So Coach Shell knew what he was doing. Okay?
Let's reminisce some. 50 years ago, the 1969 team, coach, 39-5, 88.6 win percentage, run-ups to the College World Series. Talk about that team, and Roger, of course, you were an outfielder on that club.
Yes. Like I said, like Coach said, it was just another game to us. We knew that was the final place where you wanted to be, but it wasn't as grand as it is today. But that was where we were competing for a national championship. We heard about the UCLAs, the Arizona States, the USCs, the Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
But we didn't care. We just felt we could beat anybody on any day. Just give us a shot.
Well, let me bring up one story. You played Texas in the College World Series. Okay, we got short on time here. So both Texas and Tulsa was staying in the same hotel. You were coming down, was it breakfast or breakfast or something?
Well, we were going to the game.
Yeah.
We were suited up, headed to the game.
And coming out of the elevator with you was James Street, the famous quarterback for the University of Texas football, and a pitcher on that team. Tell us what happened in the elevator.
Well, Cliff Butcher and I think Steve Caves and a couple others were on the elevator with me, and James Street, a couple of Texas guys got on. And so he kind of looked over at me and sneered and just said, "Who are you, the bat boy?" So that didn't sit very well with us, you know.
So then you come up to bat in the ball game against James Street. There's 2 men on. What happened?
He threw me a ball that right in my eyes. I just happened to get a hold of it and drove it out of the ballpark for a 3-run home run.
And then what did you say to James Street as you were rounding second base?
Well, the Cliff Butcher version is, and he's probably right, as I was rounding second, heading towards home, I just kind of glanced over him and said, "That's how the Tulsa Bat Boys hit."
We got a whole other segment coming here with Gene Shell, of course, and also with Roger Whitaker. Some more great memories, some memorabilia to show you as well. So stay with us here on Oklahoma Sports as we live golden anniversary of Tulsa's College World Series baseball trip.
This is Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell inviting you to visit the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum in downtown Claremore as they celebrate their 50th anniversary. The Davis Museum is the world's largest privately owned arms museum with over 50,000 artifacts on display, including weapons from over 9 centuries. Plan now to visit one of Oklahoma's top caliber tourist attractions. On Route 66, the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum. This place has been loaded for 50 years. For events and info, go to thegunmuseum.com.
y'all, how's everything tasting?
That is awesome.
I come bearing gifts of the liquid variety.
Bricktown Brewery. Come and get it.
You're looking at the College World Series ring from Coach Gene Shell from the 1969 College World Series. This is Wayne McCombs here with Chris Lincoln, and we're at the Bricktown Brewery with today's guests. We have Roger Whitaker, star outfielder, University of Tulsa baseball player, and Gene Shell, who is the legendary coach at the University of Tulsa. He also coached basketball and he coached football at TU. Yeah. And that was through your relationship with F.A. Dry, who was football coach, athletic director at TU while you were there for a time. A good man, and he will be honored this fall going into the University of Tulsa Hall of Fame.
Yes, he will. Roger, talk about this 50th anniversary reunion. It started kind of as a backyard cookout, right, with you and your wife?
Yeah, my wife and I thought we would invite a lot of the guys from the 69 team over, because since there's a lot of them local. And I told her 25, 30 people would show up, so we could handle it.
Yeah.
Well, the number got up to 50, and we're starting to worry. I said, we'll be fine. We can handle it as long as it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, the University of Tulsa heard about it, offered the One Oak Lounge, and would we mind using that? And we said, of course, yeah, we'll do it. The word spread, and the guys that played at TU, not just 69, but the guys before us and the guys after us, we're a fraternity. So we wanted them to be part of this as well, and the honor coach. So we had guys flying in from all over. Well, long story short, we ended up with over 100 players and wives and friends of the university and so forth at the party, and it was just fantastic.
Gene, what was that like? I know they presented you with a special award too, right?
It was pretty nice, and it was also nice for Derek Gregg to recognize the baseball team and do what he did for it. You know, we came very close to getting baseball back when Bubba Cunningham was here.
Right.
He was really ready to pull the trigger, and then he went to North Carolina, which, by the way, Mike Fox is down there now coaching.
That's right.
And he will be a factor in the College World Series soon, because Bubba will give him everything he needs to win it.
And I know they had to replace your championship ring, I understand, right? They having it made?
Yeah, playing golf, and evidently I lost my ring, and the kids found out about it. I don't know. They've done a lot more for me than I've done for them. But,
Roger, talk about this blanket we see here. Now, what is this scene that's on this blanket they presented you guys?
Well, one of the guys presented to Coach a blanket. We tried to find a clear picture. It's the only one we could find. It happened to be one that where in the OSU series leading up to the World Series. I got thrown out of the game, and somebody took a great picture of the shot, and so Coach was coming in there arguing with the umpire, and so that's what the picture's all about. One of my moments of.
And you swear you never.
I swear I never said a word, but I did give the umpire some looks. I guess he didn't like.
And I'm sure, Gene, you didn't say anything, did you?
Not much.
No.
Did you get kicked out too, Coach?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's go back to one of the particular plays that I remember listening to on the radio. This was the first game. You're playing UCLA. Okay, you're in Tulsa, and you draw UCLA first game in the College World Series. Well, they jump on us, and they're up on us, I think, 5-2, and it's in the 8th inning, and the bases are loaded with UCLA, and a guy named Chris Chambliss, their first baseman, comes to bat. Of course, Chris Chambliss went on to have a tremendous career with the Yankees and the Braves, all-star for many years, and a big slugger. So he comes up to hit, and Steve Rogers is called in to be a relief pitcher in the 8th inning, and the bases are loaded. Tell me what happened when Chambliss swung at one of Rogers' pitches.
He hit a major league pop-up. It was so high, it went above the light standards. Phil Honeycutt, Les Rogers, Phil at short, Les at third. They couldn't find the ball. Steve couldn't find it. I knew it was coming my way. I didn't know where it was either.
You're in left field.
I was in left field. I come charging, trying to find the ball. And like I said, bases loaded. If it falls, we're in trouble. Anyway, I finally found it coming out of the lights, and it happened to be behind my head. So I reached back and caught it behind my head, fell flat on my back, and So got a standing ovation from everybody in the stands over. I think they were just as relieved as I was. But anyway, I come into the dugout, and that was the third out. And Steve Rogers said I was just, all the blood was gone from my face. So, there's scary moments in our life.
Yeah.
That is one I will never forget. I still do.
Gene, talk about the incredible amount of local talent the state of Oklahoma's produced in baseball at all levels.
Well, you got professional players all over the state. I mean, right here at Owasso, Turner turned out a bunch.
Yeah.
And, I had two of the best in high school, Richard Calmus and Carl Morton. Then I had two of the best in college with Rogers and Butcher. And, Archie Bradley's another one.
Yeah.
But we've got just a lot of them in a 200-mile radius that can play pro ball, and they are drafted. A lot of them don't have any place to go in college because they can only take so many.
Yeah.
Well, talk about, Coach, how sort of baseball is sort of shortchanged when, 12 and a half scholarships?
Well, that's
all you get?
Yeah.
You got the women's basketball. They got 15 filled at the University of Tulsa. Okay, college baseball, around the country, they have 11 and a half.
11 and a half, okay.
Wow.
And it takes 25 guys to play baseball, or 21, and they usually carry about 35. So divide that into 11 and a half and see what you come up with.
Yeah.
Baseball doesn't make a lot of money for your university, but it does a lot of other things. There's a lot of publicity in the spring that your spring sports don't get, but baseball does. You just look at what Jerry Ward and Tom Holliday has done at Oklahoma State. Now Josh and Bob Walton are going to keep that going, and other schools are going to catch on. But I read an article today in the Arkansas Gazette where Mike Martin, whose team at Florida State went to the College World Series, and then the coach that won it from Vanderbilt.
Yes.
They've got 11 and a half scholarships to bring 25 kids to the College World Series. And the NCAA turned them down last year because they asked for a third assistant to be paid. They've got one assistant. The last time I counted, football had 20 and I quit.
Well, and you watch a basketball club, nothing wrong with this, glad they have it.
No, there's
when the
nothing
team
wrong
comes
with
out,
it.
there's about 15 people in suits that come and sit behind the bench.
How many coaches do you need?
Well, how many coaches we had?
Yeah.
There's a man.
Yeah.
One.
He had zero paid assistants his entire time.
It's just like that. We had
Guys,
our business, the dean of the business school became our temporary athletic director when FA left. FA wanted more money to recruit. They said no. There's other things involved too, but that's a long time ago. But anyway,
thank you guys for coming.
So FA leaves,
Yeah.
it's over.
We got to give you something, Coach. Breaktown Brewery, why don't you come back for dinner sometime? Beautiful life, Francis. Same with
Thank
you,
you
Roger.
very much.
Folks,
Absolutely.
Can't thank you enough for coming here, Coach.
well.
Don't leave us right now. Stay right here with us here.
Good to see you,
Yeah.
Coach.
I've got something for you if you want.
Yeah, let's see. What is this?
Okay.
Roger?
You know Lynn Martin, the legend.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
We didn't have the 69 team, but this is a 1971 Lynn's own personal score sheet.
Oh, how great is that?
Some great memorabilia.
Wow.
His son, Bruce.
Stay with us, Coach. Stay with us. Don't leave us yet. Don't leave us yet. Don't leave us.
That's
So, Chris,
terrific.
there
Thank
you
you.
go.
That's so
That's
much.
terrific.
Real legend in the broadcasting, too. I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
Great guy.
Coach
90
Shelf,
years
thanks for
old,
the
going
memories.
strong.
Yeah.
50 years, huh? Hard to believe.
I want to tell one story though. When we were in Omaha and took our trophies, Winkles comes out of the dugout and he lines up 35.
It's Arizona State, Coach,
There
right?
was no limit on their scholarship. When I interviewed for the Arizona job, they offered me 35 scholarships.
Wow.
Anyway, we come out, he got 35. We got 19 or 20. Anyway, old Bob Murphy, who was also a football player,
Right.
he comes over and he says, George, second place not as good as first place. It beats the hell out of third place.
Legendary Gene Shell. Roger, thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
We're back with more Oklahoma Sports Scene. Stay with us.
The service is amazing.
Food's delicious.
I love the avocado fries.
I love the energy.
Local beer, great food, truly friendly service.
Look all right for you?
Brickstown Brewery, come and get it.
Each week we talk about the GTR, and we know for a fact that Forrest Cameron and his wife Sharon put out a tremendous paper. Well, I brought all 6 of them today. I'd like for you to see them. The Union Boundary, and here is the Owasso Rambler. And if you live in Bixby, how about the Bixby Breeze or Broken Arrow, the Broken Arrow Express, Jinx, District Gazette, and then of course the Tulsa Midtown. All of those, the GTR. If you haven't had an opportunity to read one, do it, and you'll be proud of it.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene. I'm Wayne McCombs, pinch hitting for Gil Cloud tonight, who's on the injured list.
Injured reserve, just had a knee replaced. That's right. Yeah.
So we're, thank you for letting me come on tonight. We're going to talk some baseball.
Perfect co-host, and you know this guy pretty well. Introduce him here.
Well, this man does a lot of work for the youth of our city that maybe doesn't have the same opportunity as some people have with baseball. This is Jerry Jacobsen, and he's with the World Baseball Outreach Organization. Been around for what?
23 years.
23 years?
Yes.
And as we were talking before you went on the show, when I mentioned Mike Brumley, a great big smile came to your face. Mike Brumley was from Oklahoma City. He played college baseball at the University of Oklahoma.
Yes.
And he played for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was a catcher, played for the Washington Senators.
You bet.
And then during all this time, he became a Christian and got into the ministry, and he was a pastor of many churches in the Tulsa area. And I met him, and boy, he was just, I mean, what a fireball for promoting the sport of baseball. And he saw the need where some inner city kids did not have the opportunity to play baseball or the opportunity to get into it, because baseball is an expensive sport to play with the grounds and the equipment, and you have to have a different glove and different shoes. And he saw that need and began to work on that. So you're with that organization now.
Yes, it's funny because I came home from a mission trip to Nicaragua thinking I had all this stuff at home. I took a couple gloves and got rid of them right away, and saw all over everywhere I went the need for equipment. So I went back and started asking friends, and people started bringing me things, and went from one side of the garage to my wife even lost her side of the garage, and which didn't go over so well at first, but somehow we got hooked up. They were going to Russia for the first time, and they usually have equipment drives that would bring in items, and they weren't having too much success, and so we got hooked up, and they came and cleaned my garage out, and my wife got her side of the garage back. Everything was good. But more importantly, we started a relationship.
Yes.
And he was saying, hey, there's a real need just here in Tulsa for this baseball equipment. There's kids that can't play because they don't have a glove or bats or helmets, balls. We started collecting, and that's what we've been doing the longest, is our equipment ministry.
Right. Well, and even today, sadly to say, there's a lot of single mom families.
Absolutely.
And say a boy wants to play, what do I get? I don't know. Fortunately, I had a dad that was showing me how to catch, and at a young age, and bought my first glove and this type of stuff. But today, sometimes that's not available.
Right.
So here's a need you're meeting for a young man to grow up, learning to play a sport, learning sportsmanship. You know, if some player on your team does well, that benefits you.
Absolutely.
Because you're on the team. So it's just a great way for a boy to learn sportsmanship.
Yeah, absolutely. We went from the equipment ministry, grew into doing a few clinics around town.
Yeah.
But we weren't really making any change in our community because we'd see one kid once a month or once, and that was it. And we sat around praying, watching baseball on TV, and not really focused. And this commercial kept coming on. talking about reviving baseball in inner city, the Major League RBI program.
Right.
And somebody said, let's do that. And one thing led to another, and this year, last year we had over 800 kids. It was our biggest year ever, and this year we're going to see even more kids and their families coming out not only once a week, but more than that, because they'll have different ages, and so they're coming out to the ballparks even on nights they don't have games. But we've provided them with their uniform, a brand new uniform, all the equipment they need. Yeah. We have such great volunteerism with coaches coming from several different churches around town.
Tell you what, those uniforms are important. I remember when I got my first one, it was just it was gray with red piping, and it was nothing, and it was probably 8 sizes too big.
Right.
I was a member of a team. We're together. We work together, and I've coached baseball. And when you give that boy his hat, even if it's a T-shirt, they just beam with pride because they have made something. They've accomplished a goal. So that means a lot to
Absolutely.
kids.
We see kids on a game night, and then we'll see them the next couple nights still in their uniform. So I don't know if it's getting washed in between or not, but I know that sense of pride it brings wearing that uniform. So all those things are very important.
Jerry Jacobsen with the World Baseball Outreach Program, and also RBI. Wait a minute, it's not runs batted in, it's baseball. What is RBI?
It's Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities, Chris, and it's a fabulous program. That RBI, Major League Baseball, provides us with a lot of tools to raise money locally. All our teams are paid for by local businessmen and families here in town. We have a very large donor that's out of state that's invested a lot of money in programs here in Oklahoma City, and it's meant a lot to our kids and our families here in town.
Now, tell us about one of your big supporters here in Tulsa that is out there with you almost every day.
Yeah.
It's our friend George Frazier, who had like a 12-year career in the Major League Baseball. He's in the oil business now, but he's still got his foot in helping kids play baseball.
George will do some lessons every day in our indoor facility, the WBO Sports Center. But we'll have RBI kids show up, and he'll be packing up, and he'll see them kind of not throwing just right, and he'll put his stuff down and go spend time. George has the biggest heart for giving back to our kids.
Yes, he does. He really loves the game of baseball and loves kids to stay on the right track.
I love this. Guiding youth on a path that balances mind, body, and spirit.
Yes.
The motto you live by there with that.
Yes. The bottom line is we're trying to get our kids and their families back into church somewhere.
Right.
A lot of our volunteers come from several different churches around town. We get great support from our churches. That's where we're trying to lead these families back in. We've seen so many times where, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of single moms, but that dad coming back into the family because of they're involved. They see their son or daughter having so much fun, coming home changed. Some parents don't realize sometimes, who is this kid? He's changed so much. He's cleaning his room all of a sudden. He's, showing signs of, really healthy environment. So
how can people get involved with the program? What information they need to get involved?
Bottom line is they can go to World Baseball Outreach .com or .org, either one. But bottom line is they can call our main number 918-893-4772. We have several people on staff ready to answer questions, sign up families right there on the spot.
Same thing for somebody that's in the ministry.
Yes.
That maybe a youth minister that is just starting out, and maybe this is an opportunity to expand his ministry to kids.
So many churches are finding ways to get their ministry in the church involved outside the church, and this is a fantastic way because what we're trying to do is so family oriented, trying to rebuild the family, and it's been successful only due to the part of our volunteers.
One more thing on George Frazier.
Yes.
I want you to watch him when he's showing a kid how to pitch, that he's not teaching him the spitball.
Yeah.
Okay, just make sure that doesn't happen.
We kind of keep everything away from George.
It's supposed to be a spiritual thing, okay?
I see a fingernail polish, deal every once in a while, but I kind of toss it to the side.
Board,
Jerry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Next time I want you to come back with your lovely wife Barbara and enjoy
Thank you
dinner
very much.
And lunch on us or something. And thanks for taking the time.
Very much appreciated and feel blessed and honored being here today because I watched the show and it's exciting to be sitting here in this chair today.
Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
Back with, there's going to be a special section for Wayne McCombs. He has a golden anniversary to talk about. He's awful proud of too. Stay with us on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
Cheers. All right, y'all, how's everything tasting?
That is awesome.
I come bearing gifts of the liquid variety.
Brickstown Brewery. Come and get it.
This is Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell inviting you to visit the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum in downtown Claremore as they celebrate their 50th anniversary. The Davis Museum is the world's largest privately owned arms museum with over 50,000 artifacts on display, including weapons from over 9 centuries. Plan now to visit one of Oklahoma's top caliber tourist attractions. On Route 66, the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum. This place has been loaded for 50 years. For events and info, go to thegunmuseum.com.
Wayne McCombs is more than our guest co-host here for Oklahoma Sports Scene, filling in for our injured reserve Gil Cloud, having that knee replaced this past week. He also is executive director of the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum. You see a tie here. We had the 50th anniversary of Tulsa Baseball's World Series appearance in 1969, and this year is the 50th anniversary of this incredible museum. And the executive director is with us as well as our co-host. And I'll tell you, Wayne, what an incredible museum that is, and world class, certainly right here in Claremore.
Thank you very much. It's a treasure for the entire state of Oklahoma, and we're thankful that we're included in all the state tourism material, and we're a part of helping the Oklahoma economy.
Give us some of the background of the J.M. Davis and how he put together this incredible collection, nothing like it in the rest of the world.
That's right. We're the world's largest privately held arms collection. We have just under almost 14,000 weapons in the collection. It was started by J.M. Davis. He grew up in southwest Arkansas, and he had recently gotten married in 1915, and he was on his way to Tulsa to get in on the oil and gas business. Wow. So he rode the train to Claremore. Can you imagine trains in Claremore?
Yeah.
And at that time, the passenger train station was across the street from the Mason Hotel. His wife had a background in hotel and restaurant management, and so they decided to buy the hotel. And it was the center of Claremore, really the center of Rogers County for decades and decades. It was the first place to have a jukebox. It was the main area for parties and office meetings and reunions and things like this. It was the first place in Rogers County to have an elevator. And he just didn't buy an elevator. He bought the one that was on display at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. This guy had a flair for display and things like this. So in 1929, he got word that across the street they were going to build the Will Rogers Hotel, a modern hotel with restrooms inside the room, and they were going to have the radium baths that was so famous for Claremore at the time inside the hotel. So he got busy. What can I do to counteract this? So he put bathrooms in all his hotel rooms. He really went wild on the electronics and put a radio in each room of his hotel. Okay, that was 1929. Yeah. And then he decided he was going to take his 99 gun collection and display it in the lobby of the hotel. And it started attracting people. People came in, would swap with him, trade with him, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. So he had location. Route 66 was built right next door to the hotel, and the bus station was next to the hotel. So the center of all roads in Rogers County was in front of the J.M. Davis Museum. So he had the foot traffic.
Well, besides the arms on display, there's much more involved in the museum as well.
Right. In fact, we have more non-arms material on display than we do arms. We have Mr. Davis got the Native American bug, and we have a lot of Native American material in the museum. We have a great history of the Indian Pocahontas Women's Club. That his wife was a Native American Cherokee, so we have displays about that. The Pocahontas Indian Women's Club was very important because there was no chief of the Cherokee back then like there is now. They had no government. This was their community that held people together, men and women, about social things, what's going on, how can we help this family in need. So it was a big, big deal up to about the 1950s.
And congratulations.
It still is,
yes,
but now the Cherokee tribe has a government.
And congratulations on your 50th anniversary celebrating this year, right?
Thank you, you're right.
Also, multimedia exhibits or family-friendly walkthrough. And, okay, Solid Executive Director, give us the address, the hours, and how they come to enjoy the museum.
Okay, the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5, and we're located on Highway 66 in downtown Claremore, and we have a tank out in front of in the parking lot. So please come and see us. Admission is by donation. That was one of the things Mr. Davis wanted to be set up so everybody could see it. We suggest $5 a person. So
much to the executive director of the J.M. Davis Museum and Historical Museum there in Claremore. Now we'll get him back to work as a co-host here. We have one more segment to kind of wrap things up, so stay with us. But get out there and visit the museum in Claremore. You'll really be impressed.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, y'all, how's everything tasting?
That is awesome.
I come bearing gifts of the liquid variety.
Bricktown Brewery. Come and get it.
Here's our final segment of Oklahoma Sports Scene. Includes our parting shots, where Gil and I have some commentary on the situation. But with Gil on the sidelines, we decided to not do this to poor Wayne McCombs here. Get Wayne involved with some other things. Wayne, of course, it's never too early in Oklahoma to talk football.
Nope, I've got the schedule in my office, what days to take off when so-and-so's home and all this. You betcha. You know, I don't schedule anything on OU Texas.
That's
okay?
right. We're under 60 days to the start of college football. Talk about the openers for our area teams here.
Well, the University of Tulsa, I think this is a good deal for TU. Yes, they're going to get a big payday, but I think if TU is healthy, again, that's if
Right,
TU
sure.
has everybody there, I think they can give Michigan State a good game. And if they're in the game in the late in the third, early fourth quarter, who knows? TU may come through. I really like their new quarterback they've got.
Yep.
So I think TU has a chance.
That's Friday, August 30th. That's the same night that the Cowboys kick off on the West Coast.
Oregon State.
Yeah.
Boy, that's I don't know about that game.
That's a 9:30 kickoff on Fox Sports
All right,
1.
I'll go out on a limb and say OSU's going to win.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Sorry.
Even with the new quarterback breaking, all our schools are breaking in new quarterbacks this year. Arkansas has a scrimmage against Portland State on the 31st. And Sunday.
How much are the tickets for that?
Oh, God, that'll give them away.
Yeah.
Sunday, by the way, OU has the national spotlight, only college football game on television, live nationally on ABC, as they host the Houston Cougars at 6:30.
Tell you what, Houston is good. I mean, they even if they're like 4-7 or something, they always have amazing, talented athletes.
Wayne, you've been great. Thanks for the calls.
Okay.
And you get a gift
All
card
right.
for Bricktown, too.
Great. I'll use it.
See you next time on Oklahoma Sports Scene.